Welcome to another episode of Make More Mind Bites. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today, I have an amazing guest. This is somebody I've actually known for a long, long time. We've been friends since high school, and I was very, very excited when she reached out and go, "Hey, I want to write a book." So when she reached out, I go, "Yes, when? Let's get started right now, and let's get this going." So she is an amazing, amazing person, has lots of great knowledge in advertising, marketing, and is just an expert in that field. So please welcome Marcella Lee.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good, good.
Thank you so much for having me today. Really appreciate the time.
Oh, no, thank you for all the flexibility to put this all together. And it's an honor to have you on here. And also, you're calling all the way from Toronto.
Yes. So I've been living in Alberta for the past 10 months, but we moved back in May, just because we purchased a house here now in Ontario. So here I am back home.
Awesome. I know I introduced you as the expert in advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff, but for people who don't really know who you are, give us a quick history of how you became the person you are today and why you work in advertising.
Yeah, for sure. So I myself went to school in business, majoring in marketing. And since I moved to Ontario, I have been working in paid advertising for the past, well, over 10 years now, in both traditional media, such as ads you see on TV, magazines, and online advertising, to something like social channels like Facebook feed, Instagram feeds, or YouTube while you're watching your favorite video. I got into the industry because I really had an appetite for the almost like the art and sciences of paid advertising, which is really one part of marketing. Now, fast forward 10 plus years later, I have been working on many different clients, such as P&G, Revlon, TJX, Samsung, Microsoft, GSK, and Kellogg's. And most recently, I am the digital director on the Amazon business here in Canada. So what that means is I'm bringing thought leadership from a digital paid media standpoint for the business in supporting things like their web as well as their Prime videos. So it's very important for me to really bring in that value adds to these clients from a paid advertising standpoint. So it's been a good 10 plus years, but I have always been kind of working on a more blue chips, multi-million dollars account.
Now, you not only do you work with all these great great companies and brands, but you also work with individual business owners and some smaller businesses as well.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, paid digital advertising, which is an area that I've been focusing on for the past, I would say, 6 or 7 years, is really about balancing budget versus targeting versus like the art and science of paid advertising. And as a result, you never stop learning. So as someone who strives to continue to learn about digital advertising, as you know, every day it changes. I actually started freelancing and partnering in an agency focusing on performance marketing, where I help small and medium businesses in the USA to really helping them to leverage paid advertising to drive business results. Now, during that time, I saw many of their competitors are struggling because of the pandemic and keeping themselves afloat. And I have always recommend my own clients in my kind of freelance and agency that advertising is really just one part of your overall business, but it's actually one of the biggest spender piece. And oftentimes we don't really pay attention as much on that piece. We pay attention to your landing page, to your content, to your creative message, but oftentimes the paid advertising get neglected. Therefore, you can't pour yourself in dollars in channels that doesn't make sense. Using audience targeting that you think is right, and really no go to market paid strategy, and have no infrastructure rather than on your website or storefront to captivate your audience. So because I've seen so many different issues and so many oversight in paid advertising, and in this kind of pandemic, it really triggered me to decide to write a book to share my knowledge for similar businesses who are struggling and really want to give my opinion on what I think could really help them to achieve their business objective and audience strategy, and don't just blindly spend on their hard-earned dollars in media channels, advertising channels that might not make sense.
Mhm. Nice. Now, when it comes to this book, there's, without giving it too much away, because we want people actually to read the book, tell us more about the, what are some of the elements that people will get out of this book, and why this book will be so integral in either starting the business or growing the business.
Yeah. So what you will get out of this book is my perspective in advertising. Just because paid advertising is often being grouped in an overall digital marketing. If you ever go into any job description or any kind of role and responsibility, digital marketing usually entails to pay advertising. It's always something that is not being brought to surface to talk about. And there's tons of books and tons of educational session about digital marketing, but seldom on specifically paid advertising. Um, and the paid advertising itself is very complex, and it's just getting more complex with the third-party cookie being deprecated by Google Chrome in 2022, which got pushed back by a year, by the way. Therefore, it's important for small businesses such as even yourself or anyone that is working in small, medium businesses to know who their audience actually are and where they can find them, but also have the tools and knowledge that they can use without paying too much on how do you attract that lifetime consumer and build a relationship with them through communications, pay advertising channels, and really in turn that will help grow your business. So my book talks about the different strategy that you can implement for your business depending on the objective, whether you have a storefront or website, and how you can find those audience based on the tools that you have. And from there, how do you re-engage and engage with them so that not only they build that positive sentiment with your business without being annoying, as well as building that kind of loyal customers for your end goal.
Oh, very, very nice. For people out there who's able to watch this, this is the book right here. This is the cover, so please go out there, take a look at it. Find it on Amazon, and I'm sure there's other places you can get. You probably directly message Marcella to pick up copy. Now, when it comes to budgeting for advertising, what would you say is the typical range a business or a company should allocate their funds to when it comes to advertising?
So there is no one size fit all. It really depends on your business. So in my book, we talk about what that means for your business. So I have worked with as little as $200 a month to a couple thousands dollars a month. Now, something to always think about is not only who is your target audience, but also where are they and what you want to target. So something like e-commerce, you might want to extend to the entire country versus something like a physical store that you want to generate leads. You might want to really geo-target to a specific zip code or zone or like a city or area. So it really depends. My kind of rule of thumb is if you have a test budget, my agency is always willing to kind of come back with a recommendations on what's best fit for your business. Now, I'm also a very honest person. If let's say, Marcella, I have $50 or $100, what can I do to drive 50 different conversions? I can probably already tell you no. There is no way you can do that. So what I'm very transparent about is not just line of communication, but also realistic goal. For a couple $100, you might be looking at one focused strategy versus spreading your dollars across something that is not meaningful. So my goal is to work with small businesses to really identify what is the most important for them and really also audit their current kind of infrastructure. Like, do they have a website? What is their CRM strategy? Is the landing page optimized to SEO? Does paid search make sense? Or is their audience more on Instagram versus Facebook, so we can strategize? So in summary, there's really no one right answer. Budget can be flexible. It depends on what you want to achieve from a long-term or short-term perspective.
Right. Now, when it comes to a new business owner coming up to you and go, okay, I'm going to allocate X amount of funds. What's the time period? Do you actually see some traction? And then how much longer would it take for them to recuperate their spending?
Yeah, so that's the one thing I always want to level set with their client. You can't just start paid advertising and expect result the next day.
Right.
It just does not work like that. Sometimes it takes, depending on the channel, it could take up to 2 weeks or even longer on a SEO strategy. So I would never promise certain numbers of conversions or result or business result to any clients, because advertising is about building like a long haul strategy with short-term gain, but it's all about long haul. So it's very important not to set any kind of goal or kind of expectation that you're going to achieve XYZ. But what I will say is I'm someone that likes to test. So if we test one strategy versus another and creative A/B test or even landing page A/B test, it's my job then to let you know what I have analyzed and what I think the learning is, so that we can move forward to the next strategy to build that or scale up for that. So again, in summary, there's no correct answer to measure what is the end result. I mean, for paid advertising, it's about that long-term goal with a short-term kind of milestone to achieve what you want to achieve.
Oh, very nice. Because there's a lot of agencies out there who would promise so many things. They'll promise X amount of numbers, X amount of results, X amount of return, and all kind of stuff. So when it comes to that type of stuff, how are they able to say those things?
So they could have previous clients that achieved that type of result, and they use that as a selling point to sell that strategy to you. But let's think about this one. So what if you have other competitors that's bidding against you? What if there's a macro factor that you cannot foresee, right? So, and are you exactly the same business as your competitors? So you have to kind of think about, if a business promises that they are going to achieve a certain goal for you, then you kind of question how are they able to do it and what is the implication if they don't kind of achieve that. I have also seen that a company would promise that, hey, your cost per click will be under $5. Guess what? They're using a tool that we all use to estimate that kind of cost per click. But guess what? Company X just launched, and now all of a sudden they bid up the marketplace auction. So therefore, you're no longer paying $5. You might be paying $8 or $9 for the relevant keywords. So that is a under promise, right? Now you're over promising your client, but underachieve. So this is why when I kind of work with different businesses, I don't promise any result. I approach it as this is the reality of your company, this is the competitive marketplace, and these are all the strategy that we can do. Let's try to work together to come up the right strategy for your business, not your competitors. And then we can gain our own learning to build our own benchmarks, not an industry benchmark, because industry could mean anything.
Very, very well said. And I'm sure lots of people who picks up your book will be able to understand that a whole lot more and be able to have some at least upfront knowledge of all these strategies so that they can be protected against certain types of promises and certain types of offers, and not just jump into and agreeing with another company or jumping into an agency without knowing.
Yeah, it's very important for me to share that because just because I've been working with a lot of kind of multi-million dollars advertising budget, oftentimes if you go too broad or you're just trying to target everyone in your city or in the country, guess what? You're going to get blanketed from all these kind of bigger companies. So as a small, medium businesses, I think it's really important to really strategize which channel and which audience you're actually trying to target so that your dollars, your hard-earned dollars is actually meaningful, is actually driving business result, not just impression and then poof, nothing happens. So to me, the purpose of this book is to really bring that kind of strategic thought leadership for small businesses to think about who their audience really is and how they can kind of target them within these channels without being just blanket message everyone.
Now, you've worked with a lot of big companies and with lots of big brands. If you would have to single out one thing that allows these brands to be so successful in their business and two in advertising, what would those two things be?
Yeah, so they have a whole team of marketers that just dedicated to paid advertising. They work with their IT team, they work with their web analytic team, the creative team, the social team to bring it all together. They have a budget that is just insane because to them, advertising and paid advertising is actually one of the biggest expense in the overall marketing ecosystem. So to them, they have the resource that they can go to make a campaign successful. Second of all, it's all about their infrastructure. So someone like a CPG company could have measurable result through their kind of own studies or MMM that we hear sometimes. But something like e-commerce, they have all their tags and infrastructure set in place so that we know from a paid advertising standpoint what drives sales, what drives awareness and eyeballs, and how we can turn these eyeballs but did not convert into sales. So with these kind of bigger companies, they not only blanket everyone, but they are really religiously invest into their infrastructure from a marketing standpoint, their overall audience strategy. And I would say for them is a well-oiled machine. Not only they just play in the digital standpoint, which is the area of my focus, but they also think about from a offline standpoint, so TV buying or even out of home, how that play into their overall digital ecosystem. And in my book, my focus is really on digital because that is the lowest funnel that any small medium businesses can play into. But if you have another dollar, there is always option for out of home and digital out of home, which actually works all together with a digital kind of ecosystem standpoint. So I would say the biggest difference with bigger companies is not only they're able to blanket, but they're able to really tie in traditional and offline and online media. And third and finally is really they are invested in that infrastructure to make sure that it's a one well kind of oil machine.
Well, very, very, very well said, and very, very deep in analysis there. When it comes to book writing, there's a lot of people out there who either are business owners or they're an expert in certain fields. What was your experience like? Because lots of people are afraid to go out there and write a book. They're also thinking it's going to take too long to write a book. So what was that process for you? How did you feel before, during, and then after you have that book written?
Yeah. So to be honest, I felt really nervous before even thinking about launching this project and writing a book. Um, but I was actually very lucky to have you as not just a friend of over 20 years, but also a coach to help me guide every step of the way. What I really think and it sold me to this idea is that not only you were able to describe what that project could look like and make my idea come to life, but in this process, you also broke it down into every single steps with milestones so that I can work towards those goals. And those milestones are very reasonable because I mean, everyone has a different timeline. And for me, you built one that is specific to my kind of schedule. I think during the process, once I had that initial call with you, which you kind of broke down each steps of the way and tips and tricks on how do you achieve that, I actually found it to be quite empowered. And therefore, as you recall, I was able to expedite the book quite well in advance, just because once I start writing, I realize how much knowledge I want to share with small and medium businesses and how much I can bring to the table. And the more I write about the book, the more ideas I had how to kind of fine tune this book and how I can use my expertise to help small and medium businesses.
Mhm.
Now, I would say after writing the book, I felt such a sense of relief, but also accomplishment. So, kind of someone who is very invested in my own personal as well as career growth, I have always want to write a book. That has always been in the back of my mind. But I think what makes it really a reality is you're able to kind of almost tell me from what my idea it could kind of look like. And again, the breaking it down really helps me to visualize it because, growing up, I thought writing a book means you have to lock yourself in a room for X number of months and just keep writing.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. It's very achievable. I did it on top of my kind of day job and freelance job, and I felt very kind of empowered, but also a sense of accomplishment when I was able to kind of complete the book and look at the final product.
Mhm. I remember when we first talked about this, and you talked about it's going to take a long time. This isn't the right timing for me, and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of broke it down and said, and went, wait a minute, why is this not the right time? And you're saying, well, I'm moving, I'm going back to Toronto,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of kept on talking about more. I'm like, wait a minute, when are you moving back to Toronto? He's like, oh, 5 months from now. Well, let's just get that book done within these 5 months, kind of thing. And there's a lot of people who sit there going, you know what, now's not the right time. Now's not the right time. For somebody who actually said the same thing, but was able to accomplish that within that time, even if they didn't think it was the right time to begin with. Would you say that there's never the right time? It's just a matter of getting it done. And once you get it done, you'll feel that, you know what, I wish I did it earlier.
Yeah, you're right. There is never a right time because if I didn't proceed with this project, and if we were to discuss about launching this project, I'll be like, oh, I don't know. I'm in the middle of renovation. I'm living in a temporary home. I'm just not sure. So to answer your question, no, there's never a right time. I think right time is now because I think it's important for to unlock your mentality, and through your kind of guidance and expertise, I think unlocking that mentality and able to break it down into every steps, even small steps, even the smallest steps, like just checking grammar or checking visualization for 1 week, that those are small steps, but it kind of builds into the milestones. So I think to answer your question, there's never a right time. I think what really kind of prompted me to do this is you were able to kind of unlock my kind of mentality that, hey, it's possible. There's weekends, there's always like an hour or so in between break. And when you have an idea, jot it down. And that's exactly what I did. So there's never a right time, but I think what's important is if you have that mentality and you have an idea and you're passionate about sharing it, I think it's important to find that time and to really go with it, to have that kind of mentality to proceed. And every step of the way, obviously sometimes I do feel lazy, and that's where I have you to remind me, hey, it's due this day, so what is going on? So it's good because it makes me accountable, and that's important. You can write a book, you can think about doing this, but then if you have a mentor, a coach that make you accountable for the task of that week or the month, it actually trigger you to do even better and achieve it. And in my case, I just expedite it because the more you push me, the more you follow up with me, the more I want to make this happen. So again, mentality and obviously working with a coach like yourself to push the boundary.
You mentioned how you feel empowered. You felt the sense of achievement. I've noticed that your confidence level also went up as well. So aside from your feelings about yourself and also your self-esteem and self-confidence and whatnot, have you noticed any change with regards to your business or also
Yeah, for sure.
or
So
action?
yeah, like a lot of my clients are actually asking about the book and the purpose of why I'm writing this book. And actually, a lot of my clients became my champion about the book. And as a result, I have had a few kind of leads with the agency from word of mouth, as well as also opportunities for our current client to um, add in additional revenue for our agency, to add in more services for their business. So that were actually very quantifiable results. From a kind of more soft result standpoint, I'm seeing that when we're kind of pitching for a business, and people can see that you accomplish this kind of book writing skill, they kind of see you as having more authority in the marketplace. And that's really important in kind of my line of business, because there's a lot of marketers who, promise results, as you said, but with someone like us who built that roster through kind of client word of mouth, but also a quantitative achievement such as writing a book, it actually bring in that authenticity from these unknown clients to work with us. So I say, with our current clients, it add in additional revenues for us, but for net new potential clients, it really add in that almost like enviness or like authenticity, right? To like to us to want to work with us, because they see us as having that voice within this very noisy marketplace. And it's not just writing case studies or paper, but it's an actual book to help these businesses.
Mhm. Now, one of the greatest feelings that I've experienced was getting that knock on the door or looking my mailbox and receiving the very first copy of that book. I explained it to somebody where it felt like having 1,000 people in the audience applause for you, giving a standing ovation kind of thing. For you, the very first time you held that book in your hand, what did that feel?
It felt that I'm holding it right now because I always have it by my desk at work to remind myself about the book and what I want to accomplish in life. which is kind of building up the agency also as a kind of marketer in the digital space. So when I first kind of held this book, I had a sense of nervousness because I'm like, oh man, this is it. After a month of working, this is the actual copy. But then I almost had like a tear of joy because I designed everything from the cover to the visualization. So it's almost like my 15 or 10 plus years of work put into a physical book that I can always kind of look back on what I have accomplished. So yeah, when I first held this book, it was kind of a tear of joy, but also thinking about this is almost my expertise in hard copy that I can always take it with me, no whether I go. And no matter what the future holds, it's always going to be there. And I'm able to embrace that chapter of my life forever.
Awesome. Very, very happy to hear that. And I was very, very proud of the fact that I was able to hold your book as well and be able to talk to people about it. It was a great journey and a lot of fun working with you on that. Just a quick little thing. So why should people reach out to you to pick up a copy of this book?
Yeah, I've been kind of thinking about that piece. I'm like, why? So I think ultimately it's perspective. We are, as a consumer, we go on Instagram, we go on Facebook, we see what other people are doing and what ads they're running, and people go into influencer marketing and whatnot. So just because digital is so fragmented now, but it's also a very complex medium and it's ever evolving, I want people to know about perspective from a paid advertising standpoint. Um, Paid advertising, as I mentioned, is often being grouped into overall digital marketing, and oftentimes it gets so overlooked and lost. You spend so much time on the ads, so much time on their branding, so much time on the colors, but then paid advertising is just poof. So paid advertising is very complex, and because of that deprecation of third-party cookie is becoming even more complex. So to me, by reading this book, it gave small businesses and medium businesses a whole new refreshed perspective on how they should be looking at paid advertising. By identifying what they have available, who their consumer is, what are the right channels, do you have the right infrastructure for your business to get those audience, and how do you kind of build relationships with your customers so that you can grow your business. So I think if I were to kind of say one thing, the one thing I really want people to get out of this book is perspective on what paid advertising actually is, and what isn't. And I think this tool and this book can really give a lot of insightful knowledge as well as free tools that I know and use to really help them to make their really hard-earned dollars into really working dollars to drive that business result.
Awesome. So everybody out there, make sure you get a copy of this book. A great resource. You can go back to it over and over again. Lots of tips and tricks and strategies for you to really use advertising to your advantage. And you're going to get so much content and so much great value out of this book. And of course, you'll also get to be able to get in touch with Marcella. So reach out to her. She's on social media. She's on LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you reach out to her if you have any questions and whatnot. What's the best platform to reach you at?
Yeah, I'm still finalizing my own website, so that is still in the works. But you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm there. and as well as Marcella at paysearch.pro. I will always kind of respond to those emails. And also, if you want to learn more about our kind of agency, is called PaySearch Pro. It's say PaySearch Pro, but we basically do a lot of performance marketing, so you can reach out that way.
Great. So everybody, make sure you do that. Now, before I let you go, I got 5 quick questions. Has nothing to do with advertising, so you can relax. Number one, if you were stuck in a car, okay, and that car only had one song playing on it over and over and over, what's that one song that you don't mind listening to for a long time, over and over?
Oh, that's a tough one, Fong. It brings me back to the days when we used to go sing karaoke. Actually, it does. I would say if I'm stuck in a car, I have to listen to one song over and over again. Um, I, I don't know. This is tough. I would say it's probably of one of my favorite singer, Haken Lee song. Um, and the song itself, for people who doesn't know, is about its translation Red Day,
Cool.
basically.
I fully agree with that.
Because I like the lyrics, it's very upbeat, and it really reminds you of the purpose of being upbeat in life, especially this past year with all the lockdown. It's definitely a song that always keep myself very upbeat, so it's definitely that song.
Very, very well said. Now I'm singing it in my head. Number 2, a hidden talent that not many people know. Now, I've known you for, almost 25 years now. I could think of 2 things you could probably say to answer this question, but what is a hidden talent that you could go and perform?
Oh, wow. Okay, so not so much hidden talent, but I actually have a full M license. So I do drive their motorcycle, but not anymore. And that was yet another kind of personal goal that I have had for many years. And that stemmed from like movies from the 90s that I used to watch. And I'm like, why is it always the guy that has to be in the front seat of that like motorcycle? So me being myself, I decided to have that kind of motorcycle license and that test. It took me a couple times, but was able to achieve it. So that's a hidden talent, just because I don't drive that motorcycle anymore. But I do have a full M license, just because I like it. It was fun. And the second one, I would say recently, for the past couple years, I really took up dancing, more specifically hip hop dancing. Yeah, I mean, I kind of danced a bit when I was a kid, but it was something I always enjoyed, like that kind of beat from the 90s or even like 2000s. I really like that. So recently I start doing a lot of kind of hip hop dancing, and if you catch me here in Toronto, sometimes I might be kind of grooving and making a move. So that is definitely another passion from a personal note that I really enjoy.
Wow, you actually did shock me. I didn't know about the motorcycle thing.
You didn't know? Oh, I did it in Edmonton many
Oh,
years ago.
wow.
Yeah.
All right, 3rd question. Somebody shows up at your door and asks you, what is the best meal that you could to prepare for them? What would that be?
Me preparing a meal?
Yeah. What's that special dish that you could create?
So I usually kind of cook very simple things, just because I'm not a very good cook. But I am pretty good at this one dish, which is basically scallop kind of potato. It's very easy. It's potatoes cut in slices, and then I put a lot of kind of cheese, bacon, load it all up and bake it with a lot more cheese, and you serve it with sour cream. So my kind of rule of thumb is if there's kind of cheese and potato, it's always a win. So I would say if someone kind of knock on my door, that would be something I'm most comfortable preparing for them.
Very well said. I look forward to it. One thing that you haven't done yet, but you would love to try.
One thing I haven't done yet. Yeah, so I think one thing that I still haven't done is still kind of skydiving. I've always want to try it, but I'm a little bit afraid of height. So another personal thing I'm trying to conquer is perhaps facing my fear with height. And one day, hopefully, I can maybe try skydiving, but that's like in the later future. I'm still need to conquer that fear of height first.
And finally, what is success like to you?
Yeah, success to me is being content about what I do. I mean, a lot of people think success could be measured by money, your title, your, influence within the company. But for me, success means being content with myself. I wake up every day knowing that this is the right career that I've chosen, just because I've always been exposed to other areas of marketing before, and paid advertising is the area that I always want to focus. And I'm glad that I did, because I wake up every day actually looking forward to what's next in the digital advertising space, so that I can kind of learn it myself and apply it for the agency. And also I would say being content with seeing result from these clients, because small medium businesses, they're struggling, they don't have much to play with. So I feel very content when I see that through my strategy, through my recommendations, they are actually driving result that means they can like pay the rent, or they can keep their business afloat. So to me, it's just being very content about seeing these type of result for these clients, this through my kind of expertise in digital.
Nice. Um, I just came up with this right on the spot here.
Okay, sure.
You have a light bulb on the front cover. How would you relate success to a light bulb?
That's a good one. It's I think success to a light bulb, it depends. So for me, a light bulb means you have an idea, but a light bulb is also the core of what we kind of turn on when we want to see something. And it can be also perceived as a guiding light sometimes, right? So for me, light bulb is something that's always been overlooked, because you just put in a light bulb and that's it, you turn on and off. But oftentimes it's actually very important for us to, well, see in the dark, to have an idea on, but also able to turn it off when you don't need it. And what's important to me is light bulb can always be something that is reliable as a guidance for your visualization, or even just looking at it at night. So to me, I have the night bulb because it actually means multiple things. It doesn't just mean there's an idea. It also means that it can kind of guide you when you're not sure what you're seeing in the dark. So that is why, to me, this light bulb is very important to symbolize what I want to achieve for this book.
Awesome. Very well done. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any last words?
No, just, thank you so much for your support. And I'm really hoping this book can really help a lot of small businesses to rethink and give some perspective of what they should be doing from a paid advertising standpoint. If you just want to kind of chat and bounce through ideas, I always gave free consultation. So if you want, I can always bounce some ideas off you, no obligation, nothing like that. Because again, I feel very content about what I do. And again, last but not least, thank you so much for the past couple months to guiding me in achieving this goal and making this book a reality. And yeah, it's just been nothing but a pleasure working with you to have this kind of seamless process and kind of goal to be done. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. And for everybody out there, make sure you reach out to Marcella, get a copy of this book. Great resource, great value, and lots of stuff that you can implement into your business right now. So once again, thank you, Marcella, for being here. Lots of great tips and also the stories. And I had a lot of fun talking to you. I also learned a few other things myself that I had it's actually pretty cool. So once again, thank you very much for everybody out there. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Bye.